Good evening, or good morning, or good afternoon. However you are enjoying our meeting, this is the Historical Commission's August 13th meeting. End of summer practically, and some of us are here, enough for a quorum anyway. And the first thing we're going to do, here's Butch, is have minutes from June. Should be in front of you, and I think I sent them out to you. So,
I got April and May in front of me.
pardon?
I have April and May in front of me.
Oh. Oh, yes. Why did I do that? All right, well, I'm ignoring it. I did send the June ones out, right?
Yeah, I got it.
Mike has his copy.
Yeah, here it is.
Good. I pulled the wrong stack. Not
This
unusual.
says minutes April, May accepted.
This one says minutes 6/11/2019.
Yeah,
No, so
Okay.
these are the June.
Well, I've got the other one. I've got.
Minutes of
these are the
June.
June minutes. And
All right.
It says April and May are
Yeah,
accepted.
sorry.
that's what, it was confusing when you read it. I thought, I can't be that out of it today, but I could be. It's summer.
Move to
Brain's on
accept.
vacation. Move to accept, do I have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good. Minutes are done. Okay, financial update. Let me just say that I'm looking over what we've got because I'm going to look for some areas where we've had a few bucks lying around that we haven't gotten to, because we're going to have a couple of things that we want to do, and I want to make sure we know, especially regarding signage. And we'll get into that almost immediately because we're going to talk about the historical district. So let's jump right to historic district update. And if you've gotten it off your computer, you know that we got a letter from the Mass Historic Commission, August 9. And this is a copy of what's going out to the property owners in the proposed district. And it says, "We are pleased to inform you that the Dudley Hill Historic District, Dudley, will be considered by the Massachusetts Historical Commission for nomination to the National Register of Historic Places." Let me jump and tell you. Okay, you are invited to attend a meeting of the Historical Commission at the nomination, which will be at 1 o'clock on September 11th at the Mass State Archives in Boston. And it'll be a public meeting, so anybody that wants to attend. Prior to that, you are invited to attend a public information meeting at which the nomination will be discussed. That meeting is going to be at the Black Tavern, 138 Center Road, Dudley, 7 p.m. on Tuesday, September 3, 2019. And Mass Historic Commission staff, project consultants, and representatives of the town will be available to answer any questions you may have about the nomination. Interested parties are invited and encouraged to attend.
What's the time
So for our people at home.
Yeah, it's right here.
7, okay.
Yeah. Now, the important thing here too is there's a draft copy of the National Register nomination at the Crawford Library. It arrived 2 days ago, or yesterday. It's there. I called
Yesterday.
them, and they said yes, and it's available for anybody to see. So that's helpful,
Copy of what?
of the nomination. It's at the library, so if anybody wants to see what the nomination says and understand more about the National Register, the library is the place to go. They also sent some backup information to the landowners in the district, proposed district, so that they could see what the National Register is about and the benefits and criteria involved in it. And that'll give them a little bit to prep for the meeting at the tavern on the 3rd. So anybody wanting more information can go to the library, or wanting to hear what the State Historic Commission has to say. You can show up at the tavern for the 7 o'clock meeting on the 3rd of September. So, it's here, it's happening. We're
Exciting.
stunned.
We've
After
waited years and years
Just about a
and years.
decade. I mean, it really has been a long haul.
Must have been a seismic shift. We're now east of Boston, east of Massachusetts.
Yeah, it's just, it's going to be a thrill to get this one off the agenda where we don't have to say, what's it
Still
doing?
waiting, still waiting, still waiting.
We have nothing to report. We do have it to report, and we're pleased to tell you that. So, one of the things I want to do tonight is talk a little bit about what we can do. Once this is done at the state level in September, it goes to the feds. The federal review, I think, usually takes 5 or 6 months. It sounds like what we've done in the past with the tavern. I don't know how fast Stevens.
I think it was, I think some of them were pretty quick.
Yeah, but I'm
They
assuming.
just rubber stamped at the Department of the Interior.
Right.
That's,
Yeah, they accept
the
it.
state does all the legwork.
I don't think I've ever heard of anybody changing anything, so we think it'll be done. So my expectation is we can celebrate this twice. On the 11th of September, we'll be pleased, because then it's officially done, sealed, signed, and then sent. And then a town celebration next June, maybe around the same time as the Strawberry Festival, or maybe on the date that corresponds with the first town meeting, which is
June 1st.
No, it's later in the month, I think.
So June 1st is the official charter. The state legislature passed it.
Okay. We got a couple of choices there of dates. The latest one would be the actual selection of the selectmen, and that's late in June, 20th, 23rd, something in there. And that was a nice event we did a few years ago.
Hmm.
It was a great evening.
It's more than a few years ago, buddy.
It was a few years ago, what, I don't know.
Time flies.
14 or
Yes.
15.
It's a few years ago.
A few.
Been a
For
while.
us, that's only a few,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know. It wasn't yesterday, though. And I think, something else like that we can plan, and we need to think about who would get involved. Here, certainly, because it's a district, the landowners, that can come to this informal meeting would be kept abreast of what's going on. And then we would like to offer some things, suggestions, I'm going to say, like, this would be a good time to paint your house. Or remove those unwanted things on your front lawn, or think about clipping your hedges, or
Mowing your
flying
lawn.
flying a flag, mowing your lawn, something to get that area to look like it's worth seeing. And the town will be up here celebrating and walking it, so we want them to get the idea that this would be a great time to focus in on their housing. A lot of those homes, surprisingly, have just changed hands in the last few years, or are up for sale right now. So it's kind of interesting to see. The Carter House has freshened itself up already, so that's good. We'd have to go and work on their front
Front wall again.
stone wall again that fell over. The village cemetery, I know we need some work on this capstone area that looks a little like it's protruding too much. But something that could be done to nudge it back, and maybe work with the cemetery commissions, i.e. the selectmen, to make sure that's up and looking pretty spiffy, because a lot of people will be drawn to it that have never been walking through it. or next to it even, unless you go down and walk that for the Memorial Day parade. Very few people walk along that path. But we need to think of things, get the schools involved, and maybe have an art competition. Be nice to see some artwork done on different buildings in the district.
Bob and I did a Walktober in the 2 graveyards.
Yeah. Is that on tape?
Yeah, it's on tape somewhere.
We could look in the archives. We
Yeah,
could
well,
talk-
that's Fred. Do we have that Oktoberfest where Bob and I did that graveyard tour?
I don't think so.
Oh, you know who did it? A guy from Oxford.
Yeah, that sounds like Oxford.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just wondering if we had a tape of it, no?
No.
Not that I know of.
I'll talk to Bob. He might remember and be able to get in touch with the guy in Oxford. Be good. Then we can get it and set it up and run it
Yeah.
in that period. But we need to think of those kinds of things that we can do. I mean, it's going to be wonderful to get done, and I want to make sure everybody gets up here and enjoys it. So we need to also consider, is it part of the regular Strawberry Festival thing, because people will be here anyway, or should it be separate because there are too many people going to be involved in that one? I don't know. Probably better to
Maybe
separate.
we can get Subway grinders again.
But maybe it's a mass picnic up there, Come on up, maybe we have a concert in the evening. Bring your, blanket and whatever, and hang out at the Common and the Grange and everything. So maybe a few days after the Strawberry Festival. So we're
I
not
think it's a big
interfering.
enough event to have its own.
It can handle its own
Oh,
time period. And we could go to the Mauser Trust and put a grant in for the music.
Yeah.
Which would be
Yeah.
nothing like a nice big concert up there in late June. So all of this, we got a little time to think about it, but I gotta tell you, August showed up real early this year for me. So I know June's gonna come real early too. There's a lot of stuff for us to do. Any other questions on this, comments? We're good?
I'm just glad to see it here.
It's close. Few more weeks, Mike.
I didn't, I wanted to believe, but it was getting harder and harder every year. It's been 7 or 8 years.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All of that. And 2 consultants and more really than I think it needed to be, but
Oh, absolutely. It was-
we've arrived, or we're on the doorstep.
I was wondering whether I was going to live long enough to see it if it happened.
Well, a few people have moved on, Chet Kalissa recently, and you think about it, and I said, he knew about this coming.
David Butler would have liked to have seen it too, I'm
Mhm.
sure.
Who?
David Butler.
Oh, Dave Butler would have been delighted to be here. Yeah. And it's really too bad, but there'll be stuff that comes after us too, I hope.
Yeah.
Always will be.
Things close.
Walters and Emeralds.
The walking tour brochure, I need to finish up because one now I think I can do it and say that this is the nominated district for the National Register. And that, once that's done on the 11th of September, then I can print those brochures and then we can have them available for the Apple Festival. So that'll be the first time people would be able to get a hold of one, maybe.
When is that, Ed, do you know?
The 5th, maybe, of October, it's the first Saturday.
First Saturday?
So- If I know on September 11th it's voted and it's,
Yeah.
I can't talk now, I'm at a meeting.
then I can do it.
I'll call you as soon as I,
It'll be ready to
Okay.
go to the printer by then anyway.
October 5.
Yeah.
Well, everybody's remembering,
Okay.
October 5 is
I'll
also
talk to you later,
Tracy's
bye.
on the Common, the craft fair,
Right.
and all that stuff.
That's why I'm saying we'll have people up there, be able to hand it out. I guess it's possible we could even announce a tour, and maybe that'd drag a few people up that necessarily weren't thinking about it.
So tradesman on the common is 10, Fife?
Yeah.
And that would be a Walktober event of our own. I don't think we have time to get that kind of thing in yet.
Oh, I know,
But
they start that quite early.
That's early, that's a spring
It's a big
lineup.
thing, that's all
Yeah.
over the Last Green Valley.
But we can do our own PR on that. I think that'll work. So that's gonna put some pressure on me to get that thing done, because we do have a grant from the Cultural Council, and they've asked, is it done? No, I'm waiting for the vote. All right, anything else on the brochure? All right,
Go back to financial.
I skipped it.
We're just not gonna do it.
The financial, don't worry about it. No report. Nothing's changed in the last few months.
Okay.
When I come up to the next one, I'll talk about it to see where we can dig out some money and what we need to go to maybe the town meeting for if we want to discuss signage. And that's going to be a big piece of this district. How many signs would we need indicating beginning and end of the district? What they would look like, what they're going to cost, all of those things. And it's not a small number, but between the Malther and Cultural Council, we should be able to get a couple of grants written to get some of this help.
Do any of the houses have signage?
The
Or
houses.
Will they have signage?
I would like them to put dates on their houses, and we'd help them with that. We would not provide those, but I'd like to find us a manufacturer option that would work, so they'd be kind of uniform
I think
and,
that should be great.
and not expensive. I don't want them crazy money, but enough so that anybody with a house that says, all right, I want the age of my house on there,
Mm.
Talking
Well,
about
I
the
think if
little
you're in the
circle.
historic district, you'd be proud to have, it's a-
Yeah, you
it's a-
never
it's-
know. I mean,
yeah,
some
your
no,
house
people,
is.
Yeah, you're
others
right.
are delighted. And
Circa 2012 is not gonna cut it.
2012.
Well, there are some houses that new in the district.
The which one?
Aren't there any? Well, maybe not 2012, but
Not 2000.
there's certainly some since 1950.
Yeah, we've got some that go back 50 years. And we've got some younger than that. The corner,
Yep,
actually,
That one's actually,
is probably only about 20 years old.
yeah, same with the couple down the road.
So you don't put signs on those houses?
I don't know if I put
They could have a sign. I'm not arguing that, that's a problem.
Mm, mm.
But there are really very few houses that don't fit somewhere within a historic framework.
Mhm.
It's not like 7 went up recently and in between everything. Most of the district is still,
Cohesive.
yeah, you can see it. And nothing has been built in between. Nobody put a McDonald's, on the Venus property.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
we're leaving town. But that's the kind of thing I want us to come back and start talking about, because
So,
we're gonna have to hustle on.
Where are we talking about putting signs?
Well,
Just on the edges of the district or on the edges of the town?
On the edges of the district, I would think. You know, you're entering the district. So the corner of Ramshorn, somehow we have to think where would that be? Now, that might be after you've come in a few car lengths, because you don't want it in the way of visuals for traffic. But
There's
announcing
already a sign on that little square, isn't there?
Nipmuc Square.
Yeah. Put a sign on the same signpost.
Could probably put one bigger,
But
and then just Nipmuc Square under it, so incorporate it. So maybe that's a good way to do it, I don't know.
Okay, how far do we go down
To the,
Southbridge Dudley? How far do we go down?
We didn't go down Southbridge Dudley, we went up Southbridge Dudley for 2 houses, maybe. I'm less worried about that.
I'm just curious about where the signs would be.
Yeah, I'm more interested in the 2 ends, and as you come to
the
the 4
Courier Center.
corners.
We have to put something around the Courier Center. You're leaving the
Yeah.
historic district.
There we'll have to just make a decision, because they've got, Nichols has pillars now. How do you fit, you have to stand there and say, where's the sign gonna go, that it's not just a jumble with other stuff, because there's things about crosswalks, and there are a lot of things to think about there. And how big the signs are, what design they are, how fancy, how simplistic, how expensive.
Are we gonna get one of those typical, I mean, to me, they're typical, because I see them everywhere, but Dudley Hill, a typical upland community, or, you know, those little blue signs that you see in, like, the center of Douglas, and are we getting one of those?
I don't know.
I'm not asking if we're buying one, I'm asking.
No,
Because I don't think those were bought by the towns.
I don't know.
They're way too
You think
uniform.
the state provided them?
Somebody did,
So that's a good
because they're all
question.
uniform, they're all the same.
Yeah. All right, so that's a good question to ask them in Boston, say, hey, do we got a sign with this? And maybe, you know, a hot dog?
I don't know about hot dog with a sign.
If you have a hot contest, you design a sign.
Oh, no, I hate that.
No, I know,
Oh,
I do too.
gosh, oh, no.
Can you imagine what it would look like?
Oh,
We want a hot dog with casings.
yeah, no. Signage contest, no.
No,
But
I know.
pictures, you know, artwork and everything of the area would be a fabulous show.
Where would you display it, library?
Display it?
Yeah, if you're gonna have an art contest, you gotta put it somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, it could be in the barn,
Could be,
could be in the Grange,
could be there too, especially on the second floor.
could be in the church. I mean, we have places there, you know, that we could do it. Maybe it's big enough that we need 3 locations, because adults are here and kids.
This will be a really great thing to get our friends at the church on the National Register.
Yes, and the Grange,
Yeah.
and our friends at the Carter House, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And the letters, I'm assuming are here, this, either in the last few days or now. Since we've got them all, and that was in the packet, and the stuff is at the library, so I'm assuming landowners have gotten them, but I haven't
Yeah.
talked to anybody specifically. But I like that, yeah, we need to think about the art possibilities, and a big concert. And food trucks. With all those disgusting things that.
And a bubble
everyone else
truck,
can
you know,
see.
they send out all the bubbles and all the.
Oh, God. Now we're having bubbles. I don't know. And who needs to be invited, and what kind of official program it needs to be. There's a lot of work to do. I want the governor here. He owes us a visit. And if we can nail the date now well enough, I can get Representative Durant, who had him
We need
scheduled
to
it
get, we
anyway.
need everybody that was at that meeting with Betsy 2 or 3 or 4 years
Yeah,
ago.
that's Durant and Fat Man and the selectmen.
Yeah.
We'll work on this.
That wasn't a quick meeting, but it was a crucial meeting. We turned some kind of a corner then,
Yeah.
after that meeting.
Besides that, preservation project, I ran into something in the last month. The Pierpont Estates has now put up, I don't know, 30-something houses maybe up there. And the developer was looking to add 2 in what was originally allocated as property coming back to the town. And I got wind of it, went to the meetings, conservation and planning, and explained, here are the minutes. I got some good help from Nancy Runkle, the former planner, and the current planner, and we presented the case there and said, this is what was promised, this is what we expected to have. And I was appalled because the developer actually was thinking he was just gonna pave over a part of that trail that goes through there, the old Mason Road trail. And he was just gonna pave it over for that section with a little turnaround for a fire truck.
Oh.
Can you imagine how big that would have been? In what is effectively a wet area. And thinking nothing of it, like, oh yeah. He had his plans all drawn, and his surveyors had been out there doing it. I thought, well, you wasted a lot of money, because it ain't gonna happen. And the planning board said, here's the deal, we're sticking to this, unless you can show us where it changed,
Oh, wonderful.
and he's not gonna be able to do that.
Oh.
So we prevented that, but it brought forward the problem of keeping an eye on these trails, paths, rattlesnake trail, these things that are in the town that we forget about. And those of us, once we're gone and that memory disappears, it's like when Chet Kalissa died, I thought, oh, what did I ask him? It's not like I can pick the phone up and say, Chet, what's the story with this? And he would tell me. I go, no. That's like losing, 3 or 4 volumes of important history to the town. So I said, do we need to get on this and ask the population here for ideas? Because a lot of them will say, oh, well, this is a trail. Then we gotta look it over and say, all right, why is it there? Where is it? Is it still there? Should it be protected? And if I could have gone into this meeting with the planning board and said, this is deemed a significant historic area, or whatever we want to call it, thing, that would do it. Because it would be essentially like a demo process for us. They'd have to come and say, we want to do something to this. And our criteria says, if it has historic value or iconic value, whatever the meaning is, and we've deemed it significant, no, you can't demo it. At least not without a fight.
Just a suggestion to look at it backwards. Why don't we make a catalog of all such sites in Dudley?
Yeah.
So that we know which ones could be
Yeah, I don't see
potentially-
that as backwards. That's what I want to do.
Okay.
I want people to tell us,
Well, I'm seeing this as well, the story you just told is backwards. In other words, something was happening, we reacted to it.
exactly.
But we should
Have prior
know
knowledge.
before.
Yeah, and we can't go and put it, like, for every house, we can't go and say, this is a significant house,
No.
until it comes to us, and that's always bothersome to us. But for this, I think we can go and say, we are going to identify these, very much like we did scenic roads. Only
Yeah.
these are trails. These are paper roads or whatever. And we need to weigh them and have probably open discussions and invite people in to let us know and complain or whatever. And then define them and assign them.
Now, let's take Rattlesnake Trail, for example. Do we
Yeah.
have any documentation of exactly where it lay, or is this?
Oh, yeah, it's still there. It's a four-rod road. It's got walls
walk
on
it.
it, most of it.
You'll have to walk it with, with your hiking boots and
It's not clear.
machete.
Are we talking about the same one that comes up from West Dudley? Is that-
Yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
because
It starts,
if you go,
Well-
if you go down Durfee Road, from Durfee Road to Fish Road, good luck,
Yeah.
because it's grown in.
Durfee
some-
Road, part of Durfee Road is located on the Rattlesnake Trail. It's the only part of the Rattlesnake Trail that's protected by the town now.
And that's what we gotta do, is go in and say, all right, we're gonna walk this, we're gonna see what's walkable, if it's definable still. Who owns what, you know? I mean, the Rattlesnake Trail behind the Congregational Church
Right, it takes a
is more obvious.
right by Lumpiki Road. I know that one
Yeah.
from living there, you know.
So we need to go and look that over and
And then
say.
it crosses Ziamba, and I don't know where, my father used to know where it crossed 31.
Yeah,
I think it was where that adventure area was gonna go.
Right.
With the Antosses.
Right there.
yeah. And we need to look those
And
over.
that stone bridge is still there too, down at,
They
Frederick's house.
abandoned those roads.
And then what happens in the abandonment?
And the parcels were sold
Hmm.
to lot owners, to house owners, you know, it's,
All right, so if we've lost the ability to gain those,
you know,
I don't know, it could still be,
when Joe Antos's cousin, who lived across the street
Eddie.
from Joe,
Eddie.
he's got that, he had that, his section of the Rattlesnake Road, it was like the North Korean border. It was
Yeah, I remember.
nasty
that.
signs and barbed wire and
really.
threatening stuff, oh yeah.
Well, we need to think about that. We may not be able to hold all of it, certainly, but if we can define an area and have it.
It's an incredible,
Well, it was important. But,
Joe knows a guy that did metal detecting in here by the bridge,
Yeah.
by Mrs. Frederick's house. And he's got all kinds of colonial coinage that he picked up there.
yeah, and we can find references to it and whatever, so the more we can put together to clearly indicate where it is.
There was a
and what
textile mill
section
there
it's
too.
for.
Tuft had a
Tuft mill.
textile mill.
yeah.
Right, down
behind
in-
Barber's
down in
house.
there.
Down behind
Down-
Fosca's.
Yeah. And it didn't last too long because the water would go dry.
You're right.
Yeah, it was a small stream.
Yeah.
I think your wife wrote about that, didn't she? I think you wrote
Probably,
about-
you wrote about
recall.
just about everything.
That's one that Hubbard told me about.
Yeah.
He showed me a patch of brambles and said, that's where the factory used to be.
And William Panetti, who's been dead since 1913, but he wrote the times he could remember that mill still being there, the wreckage of the mill when he used to walk from 31 down
Yeah.
to the
And that's the
south
thing, which
stone
collect-
schoolhouse that's
Yeah.
gone now.
collect those pieces of information, put it together as best we can, and put it on a map, and do some walking and talking, and see how much of it we can define. Yep.
Just another consideration, Indian Road.
Yes,
Shinaki's development is starting to encroach on it. The foundations of the original poorhouse are still on it.
oh, really?
Pest house. They used to call it, right? The pest house, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I went looking for it one day when Linda was asking about it, and I found it, it's there. there's a set of foundations there,
Yeah.
but those aren't threatened, but there's a little side road that goes back to Eagle Drive that's got 3 houses on it now.
Yeah.
That was a dirt road a year ago. And the cul-de-sac, he has a little turnaround. There's some encroachment going on to Indian Road. And,
But
I mean,
who
I don't-
owns Indian Road? Does the town?
as far as I know, it's still a town's,
Yeah,
but I don't know that.
right, so we need to go and get the definitions.
That's what I'm saying.
Things
It's
done.
another one we need to consider.
Yeah, because otherwise these things are gonna just go. You have to have eyes everywhere.
And you can,
I know.
not really,
But,
but there's, there's other parts of this town too that you just don't know that development is gonna, I mean, you turn around, there's a house there.
all right, folks at home, let us know. Old trails, pathways, keep us tuned. The Dudley Sign.
Is this under preservation projects?
Yeah. Yeah. This is all my notes under there. Welcome to Dudley on one side and leaving Merino Village on the other. I did get a rough quote. It'll change. I wasn't excited about the design of the sign. It wasn't substantial enough. It didn't look impactful to me without being ridiculous. And actually, I've been noticing as we look going into Dudley, now that Duncan has got their area done, there's a bench down there. The place is cleaned up along the wall. No big weeds this year like we've had in other summers. I don't know who's cleaning that up. Dunkin' Donuts might be doing that. And there are some planters that have been put there. I think Webster is responsible, or has been responsible for putting those planters on the bridge. So we got to kind of look at how that's going. And I got to go back to the sign guy and say, no, we need a different idea here. So I'm in no rush for us to get that sign. I want it to
Less is
look
better,
good.
it doesn't have to be fancy, it can be just.
Right, this one was off like on a shingle thing, and it looked, I'm thinking it's either gotta be 2 straight legs or one big center piece with a round thing, which is what I'd
Or
prefer.
a plaque. A plaque.
I don't want a plaque.
A rectangular plaque.
You want people
1781,
to see it, and have it look nice.
Have its own identity, yeah.
It's your door, it's your doorstep, and you want that welcome.
You
to
also
be
want people to be able to read it while they're driving, which means keep
Quickly.
it simple.
Entering Dudley,
There you go.
established.
If you make it too complicated, it's
No.
too much to read.
You want to put the population on there? I know out in the Midwest, every little town has
know.
the pop.
And somebody goes out with a marker and changes it every day,
Oh, no, they don't do that in the Midwest.
12,
Have you read the obits today, Harriet?
3.
Take another number off.
We've got fall town meeting coming up at some point too, quicker than we'd like.
Yes.
I had a meeting with Laurie Smith a couple of 3 weeks ago, just talking about preservation and books and donations, and we've got to keep up with that.
Yeah.
I didn't do anything with it last year or the year before. Laura was handling that. And I'm struggling to catch up here, but we can't let that go.
No, we've got to get back on it. Make sure we're part of the, usually it's pretty set now in the fall meeting, so it's nice to have a.
I have a notion, we've had 5 donations from the donor, and he said he'd go for 5 more,
Mhm.
for a total of 50,000.
It's out there, so we're not going to lose, we don't want to lose sight of that.
No, we don't want to lose.
And I haven't had a chance to sit down with Jonathan yet, since he took over, give him a little breathing room. We're pretty low on the desperation stage, but I think as we gear up now, because we're going to come right up against them.
Jonathan showed some interest in what we were doing, and I think it's encouraging that he's
Yeah.
in there for our purposes.
Yeah. Well, we don't have to train him up on it.
Yeah.
He knows what's going on with it. And it's been very, very good program for the town, so it's something we can certainly look to and say, look at how well we're doing here. All right, other business?
Just along the same line, I told you by email, I'll tell the rest. My son had to get rid of a refrigerator and a dishwasher in Thompson, so he asked me to use the truck. I went over and we loaded it up and went to the Thompson landfill, whatever you call it, the transfer station. And while I was sitting there watching while he wrote his check, I noticed on the shack there was a sign that says basically, don't throw away Thompson's history. Old books, old documents, old photos, consider donating them to. Dudley has a transfer station and a shack too. I would consider putting a sign on that.
Yeah.
Suggesting to people that if you got something that's might be worth preserving, instead of throwing it in the trash, donate it. Donate it to the Black Tavern. Donate it to the Dudley Historical Commission. You know, we can pick a place, but I think a few $100 on a sign might be well worthwhile there.
Sounds good.
Yeah, and
Good idea.
Well, they'd had enough.
in the past, we've been lucky,
Related.
because whoever's been working up there has also sometimes said, whoa, 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 and put things aside, and I've driven in, they said, what do you think, good, bad?
But on a
And
Saturday
that's
or
helpful,
something,
but
it's
it would
just
be
as good
good
there.
to have a sign there.
Just something to suggest
Good
to people,
idea.
consider twice.
So figure out what we need on a sign, and we'll talk to them and see what we can, where we can post it. And they got plenty of room in the little take it or leave it area to, but if we're worried about losing something again.
I would put it close
You
to
know.
the trash bin.
I don't know if the tavern would be the appropriate venue for it. We get inundated with all kinds of stuff.
Well, we don't want to get into, we don't want a yard sale.
We've been there.
Yeah. It's okay at the transfer station, and I think if we can hold it off for a little bit, I'm there every week. You're there?
Yeah.
I am.
I'm not allowed.
You're not allowed?
No, my wife won't let me go.
Because you'll bring stuff
I'll
home?
bring it home more than
Tell me what you want, I'll look for it.
I'm
I
waiting
have
for
to take the joy out of it for you. But we'll work that out. Figure out what the wording should be. It's not gonna be
Okay.
whatever, and we'll get.
Who's in charge of that anyway? It's in the town hall.
What else?
Board of Health.
Who the hell?
Is it Board of Health?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Somebody.
I don't know, does highway handle it?
No, highway staffs it, but the Board of Health is in charge of it.
Yeah.
The dump attendant is
Selectmen.
from the highway.
Selectmen own everything, but we can always go to the selectmen. Then we'll get a little airtime. People go, oh, I've got this stuff under the bed. I've been meaning to, but you're right, people say.
You know, over the past 10 or 15 years, some incredible stuff has wandered in from being away for
Yeah,
150, 250 years.
yeah.
That stuff that Tony turned over to us. Tax rolls from the 1780s, 90s.
Yeah, all gone.
We've got it now because Tony had it. He discovered it in a barn somewhere.
Yeah, it was in the rafters.
Yeah.
Just, stuff moves from, we're looking at this other dining room table, and then it's in the kitchen, and then it's on the porch, and then it's in the barn, and then the barn falls down.
It's gone.
You'll say, oh, it's just old stuff.
Yeah, we're losing another barn too. Saw one with the roof caving in. Would you want to say something like, show to the dump attendant?
Yeah, alert.
On behalf of the Historical Commission?
Yeah. We'll work it out. There's room on there to put a sign that people can see.
Doesn't have to be a big sign either.
They tossed it. Oh, I'm sure they'll be pleased to help us. Other stuff? All right.
Well, we ought to go see Laurie at some point to see about getting a warrant article for the money. I'm told we're back to the warrant article for the money
All right.
we wanted to stay with that because if we got it in the budget, we'd have to spend it by every July.
Yeah, I'm free up Thursday, Friday. You around?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, let's see if we can drop in and chat with her. Our next meeting is going to be September 10th. It's the night before the vote in Boston. And we will also have a demo that night for 26 Dudley Hill Road, which is
With that,
actually right next to the church.
It's the red brick house.
where?
The red brick house. It's against the
So
tree
when
line on
you-
this side from the church.
When you're going up,
Or not this side, I'm thinking church.
yeah, St. Andrew's on your right,
Oh.
and then it's the next house,
Oh, okay.
Right where Hall Road comes in, or just before that.
just before. So that's going to be the entrance to that property back there that Jim Ruda originally got the demo permit for the barn part in the back. So that-
Paperwork all went out yesterday.
Pardon?
The letters and everything went out yesterday, it's posted, or
Yeah.
will be posted in the Times.
So it's,
Do you have any trouble with that?
No, well, actually Lori wasn't even there, I had to just go with Jackie.
Jackie.
Jackie?
But, no, it took about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Letters, everything's set.
It's all online now, so it's just a question
Yes,
of
it's on the
filling in
computer.
the
She
little-
just had to get into Lori's computer.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it worked fine. And the
uh,
paperwork is in the mailbox.
Yeah.
And also the contracts for tradesmen on the common have been sent out. They should all be back by September 1st. One is already back.
Yeah, early bird.
Yeah.
I
Tom is-
couldn't imagine. I said, what is this?
He sent it back like within 3
It
days.
didn't even dawn on me.
Are you sending a regular letter as well?
What do you mean?
There's the registered letter,
Oh, yes.
and it's well to send a regular letter too, because
sent both.
they turn around and they say, we never got it.
Well, this is going to be interesting because the address we sent it to is in Florida.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it's in Fort Myers. But the letters were sent, one registered, one normal post.
Yeah, because people are really strange. They, oh, we never got it.
Well, these guys will probably send their contractor because,
So if you can,
Don't
if you
throw-
say you sent a first class one, they just assume that a first class one will get through.
And I told Ted Zakowski what the date is for this in the building department now. Ted's the new liaison,
Huh.
or the temporary one, anyway, you know. People moving around through the building. You gotta get down here, Mike.
Yeah,
You
I
gotta
know.
get on this, you're slipping away from me.
Yeah, I am.
It was very nice. He called my house, left me a message, said it's in your mailbox. That's very helpful to me. Then I go, okay, we're gonna get to the mailbox.
okay.
All right.
We still have the building inspector though.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Any other questions? Any other comments?
Move to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Okay.
Aye.
Aye, aye.